You need to do a hat sponsor.
All right, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Pulling Around Show. Me and my buddy Sean King here, and we're honored to have pro player BJ Usry from North Carolina. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome, man. Anytime.
Man, we just did a little, not I'm say heated conversation, but man, it was. We'll see if we can get back to it.
What area? What area you guys from? So I know where I'm.
Oklahoma. Both
Okay.
of us.
Oklahomans.
Both of us.
John Barton area.
Yeah.
Now look, I'm glad you said John Barton because he sponsored the event we just put on, JB Cases. He also allows me to play in his pool room without paying pool time, so I gotta do a little plug for him. And
it cost him $300 for that advertisement.
Hey, I like John. I think I'm opinionated, but I like him. What I like is he's passionate.
He is.
He's honest as they come too.
Yeah, I mean, what he thinks is right, and he's passionate about it. I like that about people.
But
even if we disagree, I like it. You know.
That's the thing about having a point of view.
That's right.
Having an opinion. Everybody's entitled to it.
This pool world would be pretty boring if we all just sold out to the same people.
Well, no matter if you listen, no matter if you disagree or agree, in the end, somebody will be right and somebody will be wrong.
Yeah. No reason you can't still be friends.
Right.
Absolutely. Okay, so this isn't about John Barton, but thank you, John, for helping out our veterans only event this weekend. It was it'll be bigger and bigger. Hopefully, we'll have one in February.
That's one event that I'm going to look forward to every year. We just done a veterans only 8-ball tournament.
Okay.
Well, if you have served or are serving, you could have played. You could play in the event.
No one from the Space Force showed up.
Nobody from the Space Force or nobody from Coast Guard.
Go figure that.
All right. So, like I said, BJ he's a touring professional. These interviews are for our audience to get to know the players.
Right.
So, how did you first get started playing pool?
I was probably in my early teens, maybe even 11 or 12. My dad used to take me when my mom and dad separated. My dad got me for 2 days a week, and for like 2 hours, one of the days, he would take me to the Brunswick bowling alley and let me play pool. And then he let me play the other kids for like $1 or something like that. And after that, I was kind of hooked. I started seeing where you could make a little money, pocket change, playing pool, and it was easy. I mean, I think a pool is like a little bit above a board game. It's not athletic. You don't have to be in shape. Anybody can do it. It's like almost like chess.
But you do need a little stamina. I mean, because
you can't fall over dead, but that doesn't mean you got to be a physical specimen.
I've seen some players ain't got no stamina.
Steve Mizrak.
Buddy Hall, years I used to travel around, he was there. He had barely any stamina and could still beat players.
Yeah.
What do you got to do? You got to last for an hour and then you get a break and you get to play another set. I mean, it's not that,
Maybe you're trying too hard if you can't make it all day playing a game like pool.
Yeah. And I always had
people can play golf all day long, and you see that happening.
Yeah. I always had natural talent. There's a lot of guys that have natural talent and that, they just learn quick. But it's also a game where you don't have to have the natural talent to end up being a good player.
Okay, we're going to get into some questions. Chris has played shape on some questions, so I usually just I usually just wing it. I do a background on the players, especially.
I don't know just background.
Yeah. But it's more fun when I just have an honest reaction to what you're saying. So my questions are going to be a little bit more towards playing. Because I'm a pool player and I'm real interested in the mental game for the rest of my life, and so I'm going to ask you some questions about on the table. Those will be mostly mine.
Okay, go ahead and shoot, man. I'm up for whatever.
Chris? let's ask more bio questions, and then I'll get into the game.
So who was your favorite player growing up?
Early on, believe it or not, it was Earl, because he was one of the first professionals that I seen in my area. He lived in Greensboro at the time, and he was practicing at a place called Break Time over here in Greensboro. So you could go watch him, and it was just phenomenal to watch, man. The guy throws out 15 balls and runs out. Later on, I start traveling a little bit more, and I see guys like Johnny and the older guys like Buddy and them. But I didn't really look up to those guys. Earl was mainly the one for a long time until Shane. I really liked Shane when he first came onto the scene, because I felt like he was the guy that didn't care what the rules were, that he felt like he was going to win anyway, that he was going to allow you guys to argue about what the rules were. And when you got done arguing, he just wanted you to make sure that you had a check ready to sign to him when he won.
Spell his name right.
I can't spell his name.
No, I'm saying that's all they got to do is spell his name on those checks.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, like, I remember specifically one time, I'll tell you this story. We were all at Johnny's pool room in Georgia, and it was a 10-ball tournament, and everybody's arguing over the rules, whether we're going to be calling or playing call shot, call safe, or whatever it was. Everybody's arguing, but Shane's sitting over in the corner by himself, just playing around on his phone and talking to people, basically like, hey, when y'all get done, let me know when I'm supposed to play my match, and make sure you have money for me when I win. And he won.
Yep.
But everybody else is arguing. I mean, there are heated arguments over how we should be playing, whether it should be seeded, whether it shouldn't be seeded. I mean, all these guys. Shane ain't even in the middle of it, and he's the best player in the room.
Uh-huh.
And I just love that. I don't think he's that way anymore. I think he's a little bit more quieter and wanting certain things. He just does it behind the scenes.
He's not as big a favorite as he was for all those years. There's more that kind of talent, or close to that kind of talent. And damn, I mean, he was the like the Tiger Woods was for a while, where you had to bet him versus the field.
I agree with that, but also you have to consider, it takes a real good player to understand this. You have to consider that all the rules have changed. The sets are shorter. So the best player doesn't have as big of a gap in each tournament as being the best player. So you've brought guys who are lesser of a player to him up to his level by playing shorter sets, by allowing more luck to come into play, by changing the break areas. So maybe if we were still using the same formats from the 90s, maybe he is the best player.
That's right. I don't think anyone wants to play him that format except Federer.
Well, I mean, my opinion doesn't matter, but I don't.
Oh, come on. It doesn't matter.
I don't think Federer can beat him in those formats either. This is what I see as in my opinion, where the groups are. I think there's Shane, there's Fedor. No, not Fedor. Shane, Filler, Shaw. And there's a lot of these guys who don't have to be perfect and don't have to break perfect. They don't have to play perfect position. They don't have to do any of that perfect to beat you. Fedor is a guy he breaks perfect. He keeps cue ball in the center of the table. He plays perfect position. He gets close to balls. And if he doesn't do that, I don't know if he can beat these other guys, but they can beat him without doing that.
Right.
Right. Like Shaw, for example, you watch his matches, cue ball goes everywhere. It don't matter where it ends up. As long as he made a ball, he's good.
Absolutely.
If he can see it, he can make it.
Right. Fedor's not like that.
Well, you're a shot maker and a chess player, so to speak.
Yeah.
You've told us before that you look at pool as a board game almost, but the way you said it was a lot better than that.
Well, I mean, I've had to change up. I think you got to be a guy that can do it both ways in order to win a lot of regional events. But you're going to have to pick or choose a way when you move up to that pro level and just do it one way, you know. And I think that's where some guys have trouble in their first couple years when they move into that pro level. I know I have, is that you know, you can't make mistakes and win sets no more. So you got to pick one way and do it that way the whole time.
Right.
I get it.
You know,
I get it.
So how old are you?
Excuse me?
How old are you?
I'm 44.
44.
Yeah.
So,
I think I'm playing some of the best pool of my life, but it's only because I don't have to work a full-time job no more.
well, I was thinking there's a guy that was from your area that was out here in Oklahoma playing for a long time. I don't know if you ever met him or not. His name was Charlie Brinson.
Yeah, old man Charlie. Yeah.
Old man Charlie.
What a nut.
He was a character.
What a nut. I love that guy. Oh man, I would go to Mikey's and watch him play somebody for 500, and just his wife was there in the corner, and they just like lived at the pool hall.
Yeah.
What a nut. I loved that guy.
He was a hustler, you know. He did. He had all the little twitches when he shot, but he played real good, you know. Hustled a lot of people, but I mean, he had hustled everybody he could here, so you know, he had to move on, you know. Hey, but those guys with
your audio's cutting out. Those guys, what?
The days of those guys is gone.
Oh yeah, that's over, and we're trying to capture some of those stories from these players. There's not going to be any books written about them, let's face it, but we can do a video book, you know, to keep some of those.
Yeah, and a guy that that we've interviewed in the past, so Jim McDermott. I mean, he knows all those older players, and he's got stories about all of them. You know, he owned the Billiard Palace in Tulsa, which was probably one of the best action pool rooms in the country when it was open.
Yeah.
So he's got all those stories.
Well, let's talk about you and action, BJ.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, we want to hear what your thoughts are on stuff like gambling, matching up, these things that are.
I mean, I'm all for the gambling and the matching up. I mean, it's just that facts are that once you become a great player and you start moving and traveling around, that stuff just kind of dips off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and right now in this day and age, people are worried more about perception of themselves. So they don't want to match up, and they don't want to play other good players, because if they lose, you know, it hurts their perception.
Yep.
Like, for example, guys that are in the Mosconi Cup running, right? Toward the end of the year of the Mosconi Cup running, you don't see them guys gambling anymore. Is it because of the perception that they might get when they lose?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't win all the time. So you don't want people to have that assumption that, hey, he lost to this guy, so he's not as good a player.
Yeah.
But you're going to lose sometimes. That's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the perception that everybody has on Facebook.
Right.
So they just don't do it. You hear a lot of January at Derby, right? Because the Mosconi Cup's already over. Them guys ain't worried about it. But come October, you ain't hearing about nothing. You ain't hearing about no big sets or nothing, right?
Right.
Because they're worried about perception.
Absolutely.
No, I mean, I'd love to play out. Nobody comes through North Carolina anymore. Used to come through when I was in my 20s. People came through every week. I got to play everybody. But now they don't come through. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I know 85 still runs through the middle of North Carolina. From Virginia to get from South Carolina. But they must go all the way around 85.
I love it. Why y'all dodging BJ? Don't be afraid to lose.
So who would you like to match up with?
Well, I mean, I like a lot of the guys, but I mean, me and Reinhold have talked about playing, and he's a real cool guy, and we'll probably eventually play at a tournament somewhere. I don't like setting things up. I mean, I'm a run what you brung kind of guy. You know, why do you need 3 months to practice? I mean, if you want to play me, you don't need 3 months. I don't need 3 months. Let's just get it done.
What
Yeah,
if
like
it's
a
three,
couple
what if it's
days
3
from
months
now.
to come up with the money?
Yeah, and I
They got to do a raffle for 3 months to get that money.
I don't want to play a race to eternity. You know, what are you playing a race to 100 for? You don't even practice a race to 100. You know,
Right.
let's
There's
play.
where, there's where the stamina comes in.
Well, let's play best 3 out of 5 races to 11. That's what we play in the tournaments. Race to 11, a race to 9. Why are we doing a race to 100?
I'm learning stuff here. Everything that you've shared so far, I've just learned something that I didn't really understand. But yeah, you're spot on, man.
Do you play much on target?
I don't. And I've shared this opinion that other people have never really thought about. The reason I don't is because I think if you start playing one pocket too early, that there is a ceiling for how high you can get as a great rotation player. And I'll give you examples of that. Tell me who is the best rotation player that you know of that was also a one pocket player when they came up. You may say because he's in your area, like a guy like Chip Compton, right?
No, I'd probably say Jeremy Jones or Gabe Owen.
Okay, so even with and this is not going to sound. I better
Man, give it to us raw. This is not a kid's show.
I didn't say Jeremy Jones, okay, because Jeremy won the U.S. Open and Gabe won the U.S. Open. But so let's talk about them. They won one big event, right, in their career. So you couldn't say at any time in their career that they were a top 20 player in the world legit because you won one big event, right?
Right.
So you were one of the top 50 players in the US at that point. Okay. But like in today's pool world, we're going to say the best rotation player that's also coming up as a one pocket player would be like Tony Chohan. He's a good rotation player. Chip Compton, Josh Roberts, right?
Yep.
But we know those guys aren't top 50 in the world.
No.
So
not at 9-ball.
Right. So if you started playing one pocket at an early age, then the information we have says there's a ceiling for you as to how high you can get as a rotation player.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But if you're a world class rotation player and then you start playing one pocket, within the first year, you're beating the best one pocket players in the world. And
Man, that's a whole new take that I never thought about, and I like the way you break that.
Spiller starts playing one pocket and beats Tony that race to 11 at Roy's basement. Fedor starts playing one pocket, and within a year he wins the Derby, and he all the guys. Shane is already a U.S. Open champion. Next thing you know, he's a U.S. one pocket champion. Once you get to those high end levels playing rotation, you can start to play the other games and be a champion too. But if you try to split your time, I think there's a ceiling for how high you can get.
Yeah, it's about time, right? It's all the time you could have been playing rotation games. Like, look at Efren. Efren's was who I thought you were going to use an example. I mean, he plays all the games, right? But what was his first game?
That's right.
15-ball rotation. And now and then it doesn't matter what the game is. He just plays whatever game they'll play him now. I
forget Jeremy was in y'all's area.
Jeremy, I modeled my pool game after when I was younger.
Jeremy and Gabe, I played in the finals of a Florida Pro Tour event in 2005 against Gabe. Gabe was a hell of a player.
Gabe, I get to talk to him quite often. We're going to get to go and do an interview with him and his dad while we're in Wichita next weekend.
He was a hell.
He is a hell of a pool player.
He gambled too. I mean, he wasn't just a tournament player. He gambled.
Oh yeah.
He told me a story about Rod. I don't know if I should save this. No. he told me a story about Rodney Morris coming through Tulsa to play, and Gabe killing his action out there because Gabe had went and looked in Rackham magazine and seen Rodney on the cover of it where he just won some big tournament and stuff. So that's pretty funny story.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll have to ask him that one. BJ, you still go by BJ, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of the bigger, they want you to go by whatever's on your passport. So it's Bill on my passport, but I gotta go by BJ in the States. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna call you BJ for the rest of this.
No problem, man.
That's all right. So we had a conversation before we started recording, and you made a good point to me about kids in pool and the expectations, not the expectations, but the setting them up for possible failure.
Yeah.
And let's unpack that. Let's talk about that again, because that's pretty interesting the way you put it.
I've had that conversation with some of them's parents when I'm at tournaments, because I give them the gist again. I just think that when we have these junior tours and you're getting them used to winning against other juniors, that you're telling them that you can win and you can make money playing pool. But when they come out of that, because you're only as good as the competition that you're playing, and a lot of times they're playing those junior events and playing as a low rank in the handicap systems, that when they come out and now they don't want to get a job, they don't have no other source of income, and they expect to be able to jump right into regional tours and beat guys like myself, or guys like Sean Wilkie or Brandon Schuff or those guys that are in my area, or even guys like Raymond Linares, that is a good player that's underrated, or some of the guys from Florida, or even from Texas. They can't do it. And now people on Facebook have the perception that they can, because it is pushed that they're great players, but they can't. And one of the best ones, like I used his name, and I think a lot of the kid, I think he's got a lot of talent. He maybe end up a good player long term. Is that kid? What is his name now? From Virginia, Nathan Childress, great player. Guys like Joey Tate, great players at their age, but taking losses will take a mental toll on you, right? And you didn't take them in that teenage years because you won. And then you're getting out here and you're trying to make real money and you're taking those losses. It's a mental toll that I don't know if they're able to handle. So you're setting them up for failure.
Well, that was a softer and politer way than you said it. You said, look, maybe you should get a part-time job instead of asking for a part-time handout.
Well,
those handouts run out.
That was a totally different subject. That was me saying that some of them going to big events shouldn't be on Facebook begging for money. And that's a totally different subject, and I think that's true too. Okay. Now, that all of them are begging for money, or all of them are doing it wrong. I just think that I see a lot of them on there that's what they do. They have charity events for themselves to go to tournaments and stuff like that, which is, we would have never done that. We had more. My parents wouldn't have let me done that. They said, no, you need to work and pay for it yourself. We're not asking for a handout.
Yeah. Sell something, sell a product.
Yeah. Whether it's getting a percentage, if you're with Jam Up and you get a percentage if people use your login code and they give you a kickback. Okay. If you're selling the cues that you use and you get a percentage, okay, whatever it is, that's still like having a job.
It absolutely is.
But it's not like asking for a handout.
Absolutely. Exchange with people.
Yeah. But there's nothing wrong either for getting a job that's Tuesday through Thursday or Monday through Thursday, working evenings, and then traveling, playing in the pool tournaments on the weekends until you can. There's nothing wrong. That's what I did for a long time. Because I knew I wasn't going to win all the time. So I got a job. I had a steady income. If I lose this weekend, I'm going to go home and get paid.
You look at John Gabriel. I mean, he don't even hardly play during the summertime. He mows all summer long, and he has for a long
Yeah.
time. But when wintertime comes around, or when
I mean-
mowing season starts, he's full-time pool.
I
But
do
if
the
you
same
could make it, if you could make it, go ahead. Go ahead.
I do the same thing now. I mow during the summertime. I mean, when I won that tournament up there in Virginia this year, I had mowed all my stuff that week and had just got there the night before to play in that matchroom event. I mean,
Yeah.
it's that I just think that's the better way to do it, so you know what the money's worth.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these kids have no idea what the money's worth,
Mm-hmm.
and when they lose, they just go find another state course. That's a bad way to be.
I agree.
It is. It is.
I agree. So we're talking about building up the sport with values, not even about the pool game. You know,
Hey,
like
values and integrity, man.
if we
you know,
made
I
it
mean-
like if we made it like martial arts, like when a kid signs up for Taekwondo, right? But they get a white belt. You don't have to do anything for your white belt, but you got to earn your belts and your stripes, and you know, like you got to learn
Yeah, but
discipline. You know, you got to learn some stuff.
I don't want to baby them like that and have to watch them and stuff like that. I mean, they can ask for direction. I mean, I put a post on the other day. Anybody needs any help, you know, they want to ask me questions about how to do things when they're out, go ahead. You know, because all the years I was out, I had to learn it on my own because none of the guys would help me. They still won't help me.
Well, to
I
me,
know how you feel.
parents aren't the role models now that our generation had when we were growing up. Because
Agreed.
our parents taught us the value of money. You know, we didn't have cell phones to play on all the time. You know, I hauled hay and then mowed lawns until I was old enough to drive, and then I sold vacuum cleaners door to door.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
So we
people
all have that in common. I was a little lawnmower too.
people have paper routes. You
paper
know,
routes. Yep.
nowadays you got people that buy and sell stuff at flea markets. You know, they do that with their parents. I mean, anything, you know, you can go, there's nothing says that you have to start playing pool at an early age. Age has nothing to do with it. You can learn a trade and then get a little financially secure and then play pool at a high level. You know,
Sponsor yourself.
Huh?
Sponsor yourself.
Yeah, why not? If you're gonna, here's something. If you're gonna put yourself in good games and you're gonna put yourself in places where you think you're gonna win, why would you need a state course? The only reason you need a state course is because you're gonna put yourself in games where you don't have the best of it, or that you don't think you can win, so you don't want to chance your own money.
Yeah, and then if you do win, your state course gets part of that money.
Right.
So how do you
If you like your side of it, then why are you not staking yourself? Why are you not working hard and staking yourself? That's what I've done all these years. I ain't giving half of my money away. I can count on two hands the amount of times I've lost gambling. I ain't gonna give all the times I won the money away.
Yeah, you don't gamble on scared money.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not gonna play on my last bit of my bankroll either. We talked about that. You know, if you
Okay. Yeah, let's get into the bankroll management because this is perfect. Lay it out for us.
if you don't have but $10,000 and you're to your name, which I know a lot of them don't even have $10,000, but if you don't have $10,000 to your name, you better not be playing $1,000 sets. Because
Yep.
now you lose 10% of your life savings playing one set.
Your net worth, you can't gamble with it.
No. You know, you better have, in order to play $1,000 sets, you better have $25,000 in savings. You know, and why are you going to tournaments where first place only pays $1,000 and playing $1,000 sets anyway? The whole thing you're there for is to play a tournament where first place is $1,000. Why are you gambling for $1,000?
Right.
No sense. Why did you not just stay home and gamble?
Yeah, you only got to beat one guy.
Yeah, I mean, and then if you lose $1,000 and now you got to win the whole tournament to get even, you're kind of like, oh, I don't even want to do this.
Man,
That,
it is brutal. You
that's
see why players don't travel out of their region. It's not,
yeah,
you can't do it. I can't come to North Carolina and play a tournament, even if it was 699 and under level where I'm at. What am I gonna do? Like get third and break even?
yeah. Well, I mean, you got to make yourself a set of rules that you go by when it goes to going tournaments. Like normally for me, I don't travel more than 5 hours away, and if I travel more than 5 hours, it's got to be at least 3,000 added, so that I know first place is going to be worth my time for going. And I don't go places also if it's like 2,000 added where the hotel is like $100 and some a night, and I got to stay 2 nights because now I got to get second place to make 20 or $200. So you have to set yourself a guideline of rules and stick to them, or else you're just going to keep going in the hole. And I mean, I try to teach
Looking
kids
for
that.
backers, looking for your next backer.
Yeah, I try to teach kids that and give them that information, but they don't want to hear it. They think they know everything.
Well, they
But
listen to YouTube now, so maybe they'll listen to you. They're on their phones all day.
they are on their phones all day, that's for sure. That's one of the things about tournament matches. I wish they would tell them they can't be on their phones. It's so disrespectful for you to be on your phone while your opponent's shooting and stuff.
That is the way to present it. It's disrespectful. It's not like you're bothering anybody, but it is disrespectful to your opponent.
Evelyn told you. Evelyn told you to turn your phone off. If your phone goes off during your match, you forfeit.
Fall in hand to your opponent.
Yeah.
She did that for 20 years.
I think there's a good argument for it being loss of game. If your phone goes off and you're messing with your phone in the middle of a game, it's loss of game. I think that's a good argument. Second offense, a little bit worse, but
Well, first one was ball in hand. Second offense was loss of game. Third time you were disqualified.
Yeah.
Unless it was an emergency. If it was a family emergency, but if it's family emergency, you're leaving anyway.
I mean, imagine you paid 3 nights somewhere to go see Skylar Woodward play, and it's a bar table tournament, but it's a big one. And you're watching him on his phone when you play. It's just you're not hurting anybody. There's no harm in it, but it's the respect. It's got to be you nailed it.
I'm okay with them using their phone and listening to music and starting something at the beginning of the match, but I'm not okay with them being on their phone. I'm okay with saying they can't listen to music too, but I'm okay with that. I'm not going to be petty like that. I think it's petty to say a guy can't listen to music while he's playing.
But their phone needs to be on silent.
Yeah, their phone don't need to be out, period. It needs to be put up in their case. I mean, they don't need to change the channel of the radio station or whatever it is 18 times.
Absolutely. I believe you should be able to use listen to music when you play as an amateur, for sure. Whatever people want to do, let them do it.
I mean, I think you
amateur level.
I think you should be able to put on the Pro Tour, because if you miss something, it's on you. So if
do they make Shane turn his hearing aids on now?
No,
they don't make him. Okay.
They say you can't even make that argument. I've made that argument before, and they say you're just being petty for making that argument that he can turn them off, but he can't.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a handicap, and he's had it his whole life, so it's like it's a built-in advantage, though. It really is. But it's a disadvantage in life, duh. Like,
well, I put the headphones in. If you miss somebody calling a push out, or you miss somebody telling you you're on 2, then you just gave away the opportunity to say he didn't tell me. Right. So it's a give and take relationship there.
Mm-hmm.
You can't use it as, well, I didn't know because I had my headphones in. Sorry, you can't use that.
Mm-hmm. I thought Earl was genius with the muffs on. I mean, he can't stand listening to people talk while he's shooting, so he just put the earmuffs on.
There's like the big headphones that I use. I don't even have them turned on a lot of times. They're just noise canceling, so I put them on my head and I can't hear nobody talk.
Isn't it a communication to everyone else? Like, don't talk to me right now. I'm doing my thing.
And it keeps your opponent from talking to you sometimes.
Absolutely.
I mean, so it's not always the music,
So,
Yeah.
what do you think sets apart a great player from an average one?
What are you talking about as far as watching them play?
It's just as far as, I mean, so what does an average player need to do to get to that better level?
Listen, there's no substitute for hitting balls, man. There's no quick fix. Like people that you can take lessons from somebody and get a quick fix. No, everybody does it differently. I mean, you look at all the great players and you see they all have different stances. They all hold the cue underneath the eye. Or their chin. Everybody does something differently. So it doesn't matter how you do it. If you do it long enough, you can get to that pro level. Right? So why are we teaching people that there's one way? That's something that don't make no sense to me. That's why I don't do a lot of teaching people, because they've had classes or whatever from other people, and these people tell them there's one way. No, there's not. Look at Earl. Look at Shannon Dalton. Look at Jason Shaw. Look at Efren. Everybody's different. So
especially the great ones. His question was from good to great, basically. But look at all the great players; they all look different. Look at Efren.
Yeah, they all do it differently. They have their hand placement in different places. Some of them have longer bridge. Some of them have shorter bridges. Some of them have, like Keith McCready had his hand turned out for years all the time,
Yeah.
And they all won big events. So there's not one equation, right? So there's no substitute for hitting balls.
This is whatever works best for you.
There's no substitute for play and competition.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah, you got to. It's not a sport without competition.
No,
and if you're gonna be great in this sport, you gotta compete.
Yeah, people don't understand this too. I've told people that when you start making advances in being able to play good, sometimes one day you'll just understand things better than you did the day before. So it's not like you actually know that you've made that jump, but all of a sudden the two rail kicks, you see them better.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden the three rail kicks, you see them better. The banks, you're making more of them. So it ain't that you've done anything to improve. It's just that over time you've hit enough balls that your brain subconsciously understands it better.
Okay, I got a player question.
Okay.
What do you do after you don't perform well? Because everybody does something different when they win, who cares? But what about when you underperform? What do you do afterwards, or what do you not do afterwards to?
Well, first thing you got to do is get past the initial being upset, because in the initial upset, sometimes you'll voice opinions that are just, they're just not true. And then you got to go into replaying the set in your mind as to what exactly happened in different spots that I could have done differently that would have changed the outcome. And in every set, no matter what anybody says, there's 3 or 4 instances that if you'd have done something different there, the rest of the set never happens the way it did. Right? And you have to be honest with yourself about that, and then develop drills or find things that'll work on that instance where you made that mistake. Right? And if you can't do that, and if you can't be honest with yourself about why it happened, then it's going to take you a long time to get better. All the excuses that people use, they're excuses. And they can say whatever they want to in the heated moment. But in the end, on the ride home, you need to figure out what it is that made you lose and fix that.
Go ahead.
And that's something that I've been really, really good at, is being honest with myself about what it is that it made me lose, whether it was one instance, whether it was, sometimes it's something out of your control, but that's very rare.
You're like a big dose of reality, man.
Well, I mean,
you don't. It makes it easier, I guess, for when you're like that. You just say it exactly how you feel about it, and your points are all so good that.
I've been traveling and playing in regional pro style events for 3 decades, right? But in all honesty, I've only played in the big style events that I played in this year like 6 or 7 times. So that's still a learning curve for me, and I'm improving, in my opinion, each time out. But I know how to win the regional events. I've won them in 3 different decades.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I won Florida Pro Tour events. I won the amateur event at the Expo. I mean, I won this year the ranking event in Virginia. You know, it's not strange for me to win regional pro style. I won the Mucci Open 2 years ago on the big table. It's not. It might be once every few years, but I can win those events. But I've just never had the experience on the big stage, and let me tell you, it's a big difference.
Good.
So what do you do to prepare before each match? What do you do to prepare yourself mentally?
You kind of want to just kind of stay to yourself and, you know, just talk to yourself in your own mind about, hey, this is what I want to do. Concentrate on, you know, breaking this way. You know, as I go into any set, my first goal is to not make the first mistake. You know, so the guy who normally makes the first mistake in a pro style match is at a big disadvantage, whether it's scratching on the brake, whether it's, you know, a bad push out, whatever it is. You have to say, hey, I'm going to make a conscious effort not to make the first mistake. And then from there, you know, you just want to stay away from the situations that you're bad at. You know, if you know that there's areas of your game that are weak, you got to figure out a way to stay away from those areas. And that's what I tell myself in before the matches. It's easier and harder at the same time in today's pro tour to be successful. The reason I say it's harder is because you never really have to play more than 2 sets a day. I'll give you an example, like the U.S. Open. Okay, back when Shane won his U.S. Opens, some of them, Mika won his, and some of those guys won theirs. They had to play as many as 5-6 matches against top-notch players a day. In today's world, you never have to play more than 2 players. You never have to beat more than 2 players.
That's like playing 9 holes of golf.
Right. So you could make the argument that it's easier in today's world to win a tournament like the U.S. Open. But then you could also make an argument that it's harder to win more than one. Because now it's single elimination at the final 32, so you don't get to have a do-over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you get down to the end, you don't have a rebuy, so to speak. So it's easier for a 750, 770, 70, 80 guy to win an event, but it's harder to win multiple events. That's why over the past 4 or 5 years, you have very few guys that have won 2 pro events. You don't have no dominant players no more because the structure of the events don't make it so that people can dominate.
I get it. They're doing it on all levels. They're doing it on all levels of pool. They're making it easier to win. Did we talk about this earlier? Or is this in this video?
It is something different, but yeah, this is something different.
I mean,
you know,
okay. How much money did you put up this year and you're out of your bankroll to go and play all these events that you went to?
It's a lot. I mean, you got to figure when I won the first tournament I went to for Matchroom this year was the one in Virginia. I missed the one in Boston because of my dad. And I didn't ask for my money back, by the way. I told them just to donate my money to an entry fee to somebody who couldn't pay to play. And they'll stand by that and tell you I did that. But the second event I went to, I had to put up about $1,500, $2,000 just to get there, entry fee, hotel, food, and everything. And I bought my half of the auction. I won $13,500, so I profited $11,000. Each event after that, I put up somewhere between $2,000 and $2,500 each event to go, and I probably went to 7 events.
So it's safe to say all of your winnings are going to get to these events. Everything you won this year and
Oh,
lost,
I
it's
probably-
all going back in.
Yeah, if you win anything, it goes back in. I probably spent 20,000 to get 2 places to play, entry fees, and then sometimes you're going to get some of it back, like I said. So I've probably went in the whole 4, 5, 6,000. And but I've learned some stuff too, that maybe some of the regional events that I went to aren't even worth going. Like the regional ranking events. Like I'll give you an example. Like let's say Iowa, Big Dogs in Iowa. I drove 16 hours to get there. I pay for a hotel, an entry fee. I'm there 4 or 5 days. First place in the tournament is only, I think, 5 or 6,000. Right.
Right.
But now I can take that same amount of money and go to the UK Open, the Spanish Open, the European Open, the Hanoi Open, the US Open. And if I get 9th through 16th, I get that same amount of money as if I'd have got first at the other tournament. Right. So maybe, just maybe, it's more worth it makes more sense just to go to the majors. Right. Because even though there's less players to compete against that are at that top level, there's still 4 or 5 of them. And if you don't get first, you're not making no money. But at least when you go to that bigger event, you don't have to get but 9th through 16th to make $4,000.
But if you're playing to play on the Moscone Cup, you need to play more events, right?
Well, I mean, but you could also make the argument that the only events that are really important are the bigger events, because like I'll give you a little history. Over the past, say, I want to say 7 to 8 years, there's only been 5 Americans finish above 9th through 16th in a major event. And one of them was Bergman when he finished in the International Open, and it got him on the Moscone Cup team. The other 4 are Shane's done it multiple times. He's finished in the top 4. Skylar Woodward has done it a few times. He finished top 4. I think he got 4th one time, and he's got 5th through 8th several times. Tyler Steyer has got 9th through 16th one time. He did win the Moscow Open a few years ago, but I don't consider that a Matchroom major. And Shane Wolford got 9th through 16th one time. That's it. So no other American in the past 7 or 8 years has got higher than 9th through 16th in a major. So if you go to the majors and you finish 5th or 6th, which has not been done but 4 times by 4 people or 5 people in the last 7 or 8 years, don't you think you deserve a spot?
Man,
So what tournament did
you're opening up my mind here.
what tournament did Spanky finish second in, or Greg Hogue finished second in last year? It wasn't a major though, was it?
No, it might have been a ranking event.
Turning Stone?
Might have been a ranking event. I don't know. I just met Greg Hogue last year. I mean, I met him at the International and said hello, and I've paid attention to him since then, but I don't know about last year. I mean, this year
he's a trip, ain't he?
Yeah. I mean, I dive into it myself very deep. I mean, I could tell you some different stuff and make arguments for and arguments against a lot of guys. But in the end, it's not my decision.
Absolutely. And honestly, it's an honor to be on the team, and it's about as big a deal as you can get for 1 year. It can help people's careers a whole lot. It can make things a lot easier for a person to financially in the pool world make money once you get on that Moscone Cup. That's
fact. To take a saying from poker world, it's implied odds, right?
Yeah.
So you pick a team, and the implied odds are something you don't know. You don't know about what that entails going forward with sponsorship, with invitations to tournaments that you normally couldn't have got into in the past. So now it gives you an opportunity to win events you couldn't even got into before. So the implied odds are something that you can't even calculate.
Yeah. Yep.
people don't even consider.
Right.
I'm telling
Okay,
you,
so you told me how much you put up. Thanks for telling us and sharing that with us. Not everyone wants to share their finances in the pool world, but I think you just have a really honest and
I mean, I have
realistic approach with the money side.
a couple guys that have helped me. Like I have and one guy doesn't mind me saying him, but he owns a sports memorabilia card shop in Pennsylvania. His name is Dino Taylor, and his place is called Clubhouse Cards. Well, he gives me a certain amount of money every year for travel expenses and everything. It ends up being about $2,500 a year. And so, and then I have another guy that gives me a certain amount of money per matchroom event. So if it's a matchroom event, he was giving me a certain amount of money for my expenses, but he didn't want to be named, still doesn't want to be named. He wasn't doing it for the notoriety. He was doing it because he wanted somebody from our area to be successful. And he didn't want me to use that I didn't have the money as an excuse.
Wow. What a cool guy.
Yeah. So he just gave me cash. I would be like, hey, I'm going to this event. And he would just give me cash, you know.
So do you have any major sponsors right now?
No.
No. Okay.
No. And you know, I've had offers for stuff like now there are some people that I like what they do and I'll wear their shirts sometimes, like Precision from Jacksonville. I like that guy, Brandon Huffman. And you know, he's made me some shirts and sent them to me. But as far as anything else like sponsorships, I've got a lot. I can't even get discounts, you know. But that's okay with me because I think some of it is if you accept it, you're being a sellout because you're accepting nothing. Like you're a free product, which, you know, it's great to have the appearance that you're a pro, but just because you're wearing some shirts doesn't make you a pro. There's a lot of guys got shirts that's got sponsorships, it's got cues and cases and everything, and they still take those L's when we play in the tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
if we sent you a pulling around show jersey, would you wear it?
Yeah. I mean, I wear it to guys like I mean, and I pay for them, but I just don't. You know, I've never pushed to ask for a Predator sponsorship or anything like that because a free cue doesn't do anything for me.
No,
it's not helping me pay my hotel fees. It's not helping me do anything, and I'm already got a cue. So if I use your cue for free, I lose money getting used to it.
So what do you shoot with?
Right now I'm using a Josie Butt because I like the Josie cues. I like the designs. And I'm using a 314-3 shaft for different reasons. For one, because it's hard. Hold on a second. These guys are trying to. Okay, you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, for one, it's hard to find two shafts that are wood shafts that hit the same. So the Predator shafts are a little bit better about that. So that's what I went to after my first and ever Q deal kind of went sour. Second reason I use it is because I was gambling a lot at one time with like cheap sets and big sets with James Uranus and Dennis Okollo. And both of them at the time I was playing them was using 314-3. And I thought, man, these guys play so good. This must be the right thing to use.
Okay.
You know, so that's what I've been using for a year or so, and it works out pretty well. But there's some times where I need something else. You know, I just talked to Jeremy Jones the other week about there's time on used equipment anymore that I feel like I have a lack of power, and I'm having trouble moving the cue ball around when it's not perfect conditions. So I tried to get in touch with Q-Tech, and they've agreed to give me like a little bit of a discount to try a couple things to see if that helps. So I have reached out, but there's no sponsorship or anything. But that's
sending you a free cue to just give them feedback. I mean,
well, I mean, I'm just not, their target area is the young. And I mean, I can give you an opinion of why that is, but that doesn't mean it's fact.
Mhm.
I think that if they target the youth because of the youth wants to be a perception of being a pro, and then after a few years of you using the Q for free, you have no leverage to ask for more, right? So if you've done it for free for 3 or 5 years and you say, I want a different deal, and you haven't won pro tour events, you haven't really moved up the food chain, they can say, well, we don't think you've earned it. And their basic thought is, well, you've done it for free for 5 years, so you'll continue to do it for free.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just like working a corporate job, right? So you agree to an initial salary, and then every year you go in and say, and they know that you have a car payment, they know you have a house payment, and they know you're living paycheck to paycheck, and you say, I want a raise, and they say, well, we can't really afford it. They can, but they're not going to give it to you because you've been working at that salary, and they know that you're not going to quit.
Because you
Mhm.
need a job. Right.
And it's the same thing with the kids that play with the Qs. They know they want to be seen with that as that Predator sponsored player. So you're not going to dump the Qs, even if they don't agree to a new contract.
And when we were kids, if we got seen shooting with a Q-Tech, I mean, that's like shooting from Walmart.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
Have you tried the new Q-Tech?
Yeah.
The new Q-Tech stuff?
I play with a Q-Tech shaft.
Listen, man, that's not a bad product. I just got a couple things that I bought, like I paid retail for it, and I just trying it at the house. Not a bad product, man. I mean, that Shane Van Bonen Q hits good.
Yeah.
It does. The Jacoby Black, it's pretty good hitting shaft too.
Yeah, I mean, they all are similar. I'm sure I hadn't tried them all, but I mean, they're a much better product than they were back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, but in the end, I think when you're going back to like sponsorship, right? So my opinion of that is that I need to wait, and I'm almost there. I'll be there in the next couple of years. You can go ahead and write it down that I said that. But when I have leverage, then they'll take care of me. But at this point, I don't have no leverage. I'm not a valued player across the country, so I can't ask for anything. Right. But at the point that I am a valued player and people do look at me as one of the best players in the country, then now they have to give me something.
They'll be knocking down your door.
Right. And at that time, I'll remind them, hey, a few years ago, you wasn't even talking to me. But I just think you got to wait until you have the. But until then, there's nothing wrong with trying to promote somebody in your own state that does a good job either.
Sure.
Absolutely. Don't sell out, people.
Yeah, don't be a sellout, because as a sellout, what you've done is you've taken the opportunity for somebody who has earned it to make money because you're doing it for free. Right? So why would they want to pay one player or two players when they can get 20 players for free?
I think you could buy the whole sport for 10 million. Maybe.
Yeah.
You could buy the whole sport. You could just pay every player that.
Well, pool's opinions are regional. You could talk to people in your area, they think one thing. In my area, they think another. You think a different part of the world, they think another. And it's biased based on players, based on where they think pool is, what they think the money situation is like. It just depends on where you're at as to what your opinion is.
Oh, I got a good one for you, BJ.
Go ahead.
You heard this one. Everyone's got a best player in the world from their area.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you guys got some good players in your area that have been tough, and I mean, we all know that. Every region has their own good players, but you're biased as to how good they really are.
Of course.
Hey, it used to be we could all figure out who the best player was and the best players from each region because you didn't have Facebook, you didn't have none of this, and we all went to Derby, and it was East versus West, North versus South, Central America versus everybody else, and everybody from that area pulled up their money, and you gambled against other guys from other areas, and the best, and we really figured out who the best gamblers and best players were. Right now, everybody's scared of everybody because their perception is skewed based on what they've seen on Facebook. So now you're scared of guys before you even play them.
Yeah, like they've really got something of value there, Facebook friends.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. Like, you go to Derby anymore, and there's no gambling. There's like one big set. And then sometimes I was there a couple years ago, and these guys are playing Scotch doubles, playing 5,000 a man Scotch doubles.
Huh?
And tag teams think they're stealing. So one team wins one set, and they play another set. The next team wins the next set, and both teams quit because now they both know they're not stealing. Right? So
yeah, I think that I think pool players are looking for easy games, and there aren't any more easy games. There's just not. You got to get that. Like, I like what Oscar does with the money matches. I don't know the ins and outs of how he does it, but
yes,
he gets up there and he gets in the grease. I like that.
Listen, man, there ain't many guys that are as good as guys and stuff as Oscar, you know. And he puts his money where his mouth is. If he says he can beat you, post up, right? Mm-hmm. And if he says he can beat you, he ain't gonna try just once.
Mm-hmm.
Look how many times he's played John Moore,
mm-hmm.
and he's told me, and I don't mind saying it on here. He's told me, he said, John Moore, I mean, he's just gonna bust me for life because I think I can beat him, and he's beat me every time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I like Oscar. He's one of the very few guys that I have a decent relationship with, and you know, he'll talk to me. Cool guy, man.
Super cool. We're looking forward to. I've met him and talked to him as much as I could in the past, but we're looking forward to having him on our show. He couldn't come.
Well, he's going to
Vietnam.
Yeah, he's going to Vietnam. So.
Yeah, another good guy from y'all's area, man, that don't get enough credit is that damn Shane McMahon.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Listen, that guy can flat out do it, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best bar table players that I've ever seen.
He is
cool player,
super nice,
and funny,
like super lovable guy. Everybody loves him.
Nicest people to death.
He does. Yeah. He tries to give me too many hugs. I'm like, Shane, get off me, man.
Yeah,
I was like, this is weird.
I've experienced that before, and I thought maybe it's just a Midwest thing, man.
No, it's not. It's not. That's a Shane thing. That's funny.
Yeah, Shane's a good guy.
He is, man. Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with. I mean, I've gotten to know Joey a little bit over the last couple of years and spoke to him because we have mutual respect because we know each other as being good players from the region. But Chip, I've never met in person.
He's just a good guy.
But I have seen his work. I've never met him. So, I mean, I know of the guys there, but I've had a lot of interactions with Shane McMahon, wins and losses. And the guy is just a champion, and he deserves more recognition than he gets, you know?
Absolutely. I agree.
Well, hey, we've been on here for an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay. Well, BJ, can we do a part 2 with you? Because I'm eating this up, man. I'm going to rewatch this.
And I'm open to any questions, you know, y'all want to discuss the Moscone Cup guys, the ups and downs of each one of them, whatever it is, man, I'm open. I don't, you know, I've done told Emily at Matchroom and those guys when they talk to me, hey, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. It is what it is.
Right.
You know, that's just who I am. I'm not going to sugarcoat for nobody.
Right. There's no need to.
Yeah, no.
You've got courage. You've got courage to do, not to just to do what you do, but I mean, you're the real deal. You're like I said, you're a dose of reality for me.
Yeah, people need to toughen up and learn not to get their feelings hurt so easy.
The truth hurts sometimes. You know, the truth hurts sometimes, but it's been an hour and 15 minutes, but it don't feel that way.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed every minute of it. Every minute of it.
I appreciate it. Anytime y'all want to do something, man, I'm good. You know, if we have like a little guideline of what to go through, maybe that'll help. But you know,
Let's do
what
it
it is.
next week. Chris, are you game?
Yeah, I got nothing next week. Yeah, we can do another one.
Okay.
During the day, so I can hang out with my wife at night.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good.
I mean, well, hey, guys, appreciate y'all joining us. If you like this episode, please hit the subscribe button down below, give us a thumbs up, and leave us a comment and let us know how we're doing. And we'll see y'all next time on the Pooling Around Show.
All right, fellas. See you later.
Thank you, BJ.
Thanks, bud.
All right.
Uh-oh. Where'd you go?